Deconstruction has different meanings. Okay, so if you just do a search for deconstruction, you'll find different meanings in the world. There's a Desiring God article that I'm getting this one from, okay? First way to define it is that it's a postmodern philosophical label that has been adopted by current and former evangelicals to sometimes mean navigating a faith crisis. I don't know, it's academic stuff right there, okay, so don't worry about that. Probably most important thing is people having a crisis of faith, deconstructing. To sometimes mean identifying harmful cultural influences that distort the true gospel. So this is more like a positive spin on deconstruction. To sometimes mean questioning and rejecting traditional evangelical doctrines and authority figures. So I think this is where we're getting more into the more modern way of seeing deconstruction, where people are saying, hey, well, who gets to make claim on how we should interpret the Bible? Like, is that really like the right way to do it? Who has the authority there, right? Is there any authority, or can we just say this? Why do we have tradition and evangelical doctrines? Who made these doctrines? So there's a questioning of why things are the way they are, which isn't inherently bad. You know, I think it's good to actually go through that. And I think this is where we're getting towards today, to sometimes mean departing the Christian faith altogether. So when somebody says, oh, I'm deconstructing, normally that's shorthand for saying, oh, I'm not a Christian anymore, or I've never been a Christian before, if you want to get really specific about what we believe. Departing the Christian faith. And so you think about it, right? You have somebody that's been a Christian, maybe you grew up with somebody, they go to church with you, whatever, and then they're deconstructing what it means to be a Christian. So they think, hey, well, I'm in college now. Like, what does the Bible actually say, about evolution? Is there proof for God's existence? Why does my church do things the way that they do things? You start breaking down those ideas, and then you're not fortifying them or looking at other sources to answer those questions. So somebody is taking apart their faith without reconstructing it together. And so that's how I want to talk. This is the link, by the way. Okay, just go to Desiring God. What does deconstruction even mean? So that's how I want to talk about deconstruction today. Okay, this is a quick thing. So maybe after growing up at church, an individual goes to college and starts being exposed to different worldviews. Okay, you start meeting people maybe of the faiths, or maybe people that have different versions of Christianity. That maybe you're like, oh, I didn't know Christians do that. Or people that just don't believe in God altogether, or Jesus altogether. And so you're getting exposed to these things. The individual then starts looking at what they grew up with and is unsure if he or she still believes those things. Okay, so because for a lot of us, we grew up in this, right? And you just accept what I say. Maybe some people are like, oh, hey, give me a verse for that, or explain that to me. But probably for the most part, you say stuff and okay, sure, whatever. That's what my teacher said. And then the individual begins to question his beliefs without finding adequate or satisfactory answers. So that can be interpreted a couple ways, right? If you deconstruct, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good to tear apart what we believe and question the individual components. But if you're not rebuilding it or fortifying it with answers, you're left at that level. And so I think this falls into apologetics, because apologetics is making a defense for the faith. So if we really believe the gospel is true, the Bible is true, then anytime you break it apart, you should be able to have adequate answers for that, right? And if you don't find any answers satisfactory, or if you don't find an answer at all, then your faith is just left like that. And then because of all that, the individual renounces his faith, hey, I just don't believe all that stuff anymore. And so if I'm defining deconstruction this way, this is how I would approach it. And I think I feel like we should share this because you guys are going to college, and because this is apologetics thing is fitting. So this is how I would approach it. And this is what we've been teaching you, okay? You listen to your friend, okay, assuming that this is your friend. You listen to your friend to understand where they're coming from, okay, right? That's the first thing about presuppositional apologetics, is that, hey, what do they actually believe? What are their presuppositions? Where are they coming from? You need to hear them. You acknowledge the differences. You can say, okay, let me get this straight. You believe this? Okay, well, I don't believe that, but I see where you're coming from now. And then you stand firm on your convictions. So nowhere in apologetics does it say that you have to coalesce to the person, or you have to soften stuff for them. Not necessarily. You want to make things palatable for people to a certain extent, just so you can get things going. But you don't want to weaken or soften what we really believe about stuff. And then you want to clarify any misconceptions. Say, oh, well, you said this. Well, that's actually not what we believe the Bible says. Correct any false beliefs or assumptions. And then I think this is probably important, okay, if you're dealing with a friend. You can, in fact, reaffirm the friendship. So let's just pretend that your friend just says, hey, you know what, I'm just not a Christian anymore. Well, okay, that's cool. The Bible, I think, does say that, yeah, like, we're supposed to be in the world. And so I think it's okay to, like, continue this friendship depending on what it looks like. You can reaffirm the friendship. You can reaffirm that, hey, like, we're still friends. Like, I still care about you. And then you walk with them as much as you can. And I think that this is a good way to approach people who are deconstructing. If you're deconstructing, that's a different story, right? And so, you know, for you guys, if you go to college and you do start to question your faith, you start to question, hey, man, like, they've been teaching us tulip and God's sovereignty, and I just don't know about that. How do I even know, like, this is real? I just want to encourage you guys, you know, like, you guys are smart enough to know that we say the Bible has all the answers. And I've been teaching this whole time, like, you know, if you question the Bible will give you answers back. You know, God does speak through his word. And so if you're genuine about, you know, really wanting to know who God is and having him reveal himself to you, you can question the Bible. It will give answers. And if you don't find those answers satisfactory, then me and Tiff Taylor are more than willing to have difficult conversations with you even after you graduate from this class. Like, this does not have to be the end of our relationship. You know, we're definitely open to talking to you guys more, and you know where to find us. So always here for that if you guys ever deconstruct.